The Sound of Music wasn't just a movie, it was a global sensation. From the hills of Austria to millions of hearts around the world, it became one of the most beloved musicals of all time. The songs, the children, the scenery, everything felt perfect. But behind the scenes, things weren't always so smooth. There were casting shakeups, filming mishaps, and even bloopers that made it into the final cut. Released in 1965, this American musical drama was directed by Robert Wise and written by Ernest Lehman, based on Maria von Trapp's memoir. It starred Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer, with a strong supporting cast. The film tells the story of Maria, a governess who brings life to 7 children, falls in love with their father, and helps them escape Austria during the rise of Nazi Germany. While much of it was filmed in Salzburg, some scenes were shot in Los Angeles. At first, critics weren't thrilled, but audiences were. Within 4 weeks, it topped the box office. By the end of 1966, it had surpassed Gone with the Wind to become the highest-grossing film ever, holding that title for 5 years. It broke records in 29 countries and sold over 283 million tickets, bringing in $286 million, a staggering figure even today. What made it truly wasn't just the music or visuals, it was the emotional connection. Audiences related to its warmth and heart. But getting there wasn't easy. There were surprises behind the scenes, starting with casting. Writer Ernest Lehman had one name in mind for Maria: Julie Andrews. At the time, she wasn't yet famous. She had filmed only 2 movies, and neither had been released. Jack Warner had passed on her for My Fair Lady, claiming she wasn't photogenic. But when Robert Wise saw early footage of Mary Poppins, he acted fast, saying, "Let's sign her before someone else does." Other big names like Doris Day, Grace Kelly, and Shirley Jones were considered, but Julie got the part, and it changed her career. Even so, she didn't earn a massive paycheck. She was paid $225,000 with no share in the profits, which seemed fair at the time. After her success with Mary Poppins and My Fair Lady, though, she started commanding $1 million per film. Still, she had concerns about the tone. In her first meeting with Wise, she asked, "How are you going to get all the sugar out of this picture?" That question convinced him she understood the balance they needed. Casting the captain wasn't easy either. Christopher Plummer turned the role down several times, calling the character too stiff and flat. Producers looked at actors like Sean Connery, Richard Burton, and Bing Crosby, but none felt right. Eventually, Plummer wrote to Lehman requesting changes. He wanted the captain to be more layered, to show emotion and humor, and to speak to Maria differently than he did to Elsa. The team agreed, and even added a solo to show his internal conflict about falling in love. That change gave depth to a role that could have been one-dimensional, and Plummer's performance became one of the film's strongest elements. Christopher Plummer brought Captain Von Trapp to life with a perfect mix of charm and strength. With Julie Andrews and Plummer officially on board, filming could begin, but the road ahead was anything but smooth. Casting came with its own drama. Dozens of big names auditioned, especially for Liesl. Mia Farrow tried 3 times but was ultimately passed over. Director Robert Wise noted she lacked the energy and dance ability needed. In the end, the role went to Charmian Carr, whose movement and screen presence sealed the deal. Even appearances caused headaches. Julie Andrews had to dye her naturally brown hair blonde, but the first attempt turned it orange. The fix? A full bleach job. Dan Trujillo, who played Rolf, had his hair bleached too, but he later said the damage never healed, and he lost half of it. While the kids did their own stunts, Julie had one stand-in, Larry Thomas, who briefly doubled for her in a tree-hanging scene. He also worked with her on Mary Poppins, even doing some of the flying. But the biggest behind-the-scenes tension came from Plummer himself. He was crushed to learn his singing would be mixed with another singer's voice. Despite taking lessons and trying to improve, he couldn't convince the studio. Writer Ernest Lehman said this hit Plummer hard, making him feel emasculated. He nearly quit the film over it. Then, there were technical challenges. A seemingly simple scene, Liesl sneaking into Maria's room, took 15 takes. Charmian Carr was soaked between shots using a cold water sprayer called Mr. Rainstorm. to keep her looking freshly rained on. The child actors didn't begin filming until day 2, starting with the joyful "My Favorite Things" number. But bad weather quickly became a recurring problem. Though the film looks sunny and idyllic, the cast filmed in near-constant rain in Salzburg and Bavaria. Equipment, cast, and crew were often stuck waiting in barns for storms to pass. Some roads were so flooded that crew members had to use ox carts to carry gear up the mountain. Julie Andrews was even wrapped in a fur coat and carted uphill just to stay warm. The famous opening scene, where Maria spins in a field singing the title song, came with major hurdles. A cameraman was strapped to a helicopter to get the sweeping shot. The chopper was so loud that cues had to be shouted through a megaphone from a hidden bush. Julie recalled being repeatedly knocked over by the wind from the blades, ending up covered in dirt and hay. They had to film the scene 6 or 7 times before they got it right. Even the landscape caused issues. The stunning field was mowed down by the farmer who owned the land, despite the crew asking him not to. They also had to dig a ditch to create the stream Maria skips across, which upset the farmer further. His cows were disturbed by the filming, and his frustration grew as the shoot dragged on. Even the trees Maria dances around were fake, brought in just for that scene. The real Maria von Trapp made a cameo during I Have Confidence, and later sang Edelweiss with Julie Andrews on TV. So it was mostly filmed in near darkness. During the boat fall, non-swimmer Kim Carnes nearly drowned when Julie fell the wrong way. Heather Menzies quietly rescued her, caught on film. The Do-Re-Mi bike scene took months of rehearsal. Puppeteers trained the cast on marionettes, and Nicholas Hammond grew so tall, Charmian Carr had to stand on boxes. Charmian Carr injured her ankle falling through glass during 16 going on 17, hidden with makeup on a recreated set. Julie added an extra octave in Do-Re-Mi, but later lost that ability after throat surgery. Filming in Salzburg was tricky. Nazi banners were allowed briefly with no cheering, and real footage was used. Some scenes were cut to keep pacing. Several bloopers made it in. Von Trapp's hiding behind flat headstones, Marta mouthing lyrics off-key, Kurt's mouth open after singing stops, anachronistic car tires, and sound glitches. Continuity errors include shifting positions, disappearing props, reused streets, inconsistent hairstyles, and mismatched hand movements. Despite these mistakes, they add charm and show the real, imperfect moments behind this classic film. Movement and timing glitches appear too. In the children's song for the Baroness, Liesel's guitar placement jumps unnaturally. At the folk festival, kids change positions between shots. The captain shifts on the couch during Edelweiss. A nun's repeated line to Maria inside the abbey plays twice in a row. Maria's wet hairstyle changes during her argument with the captain. Props also switch. Max's glass turns into a bottle mid-scene. These might seem small, but once noticed, they're impossible to ignore. Behind the music and scenery, The Sound of Music had real people, real challenges, and real bloopers. Did you catch any of these before? Which surprised you most? Does knowing these make the movie even more fun? Drop your thoughts below and don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more Hollywood stories. See you next time.